O give thanks unto the Lord, call upon his name, make known his deeds among the people. Sing unto him, sing psalms unto him, talk ye of all his wondrous works. Glory ye in his holy name, let the earth of them rejoice that seek the Lord. Seek the Lord and his strength, seek his face evermore. Remember his marvelous works that he had done, his wonders and the judgments of his mouth. O ye seed of Abraham, his servant, ye children of Jacob, his chosen. He is the Lord our God, his judgments are in all the earth. He had remembered his covenant for ever, the word which he commanded to 1,000 generations, which covenant he made with Abraham and his oath unto Isaac, and confirmed the same unto Jacob for a law, and to Israel for an everlasting covenant, saying, unto thee will I give the land of Canaan, the lot of your inheritance. When they were but a few men in number, yea, very few, and strangers in it. When they went from one nation to another, from one kingdom to another people. He suffered no man to do them wrong, yea, he reproved kings for their sakes, saying, touch not my anointed, and do my prophets no harm. This psalm is the first in the series of 5 psalms that feature the expression, O give thanks unto the Lord. The others are Psalm 106, 107, 118, and 136. This psalm with Psalm 106 reviews the history of Israel as Psalm 78 reviewed it, and Psalm 106 ends the 4th collection of the Psalms. Verses 1 to 5 contain 9 commandments for a saint in any age. We are to give thanks, verse 1, call upon his name, verse 1, make known his deeds, verse 1, sing unto him, verse 2, talk of his wondrous works, verse 2, glory in his holy name, verse 4, rejoice, verse 3, seek his face, verse 4, remember his marvelous works, verse 5. These admonitions are specifically addressed to the seed of Abraham and the children of Jacob his chosen, verse 6. Nonetheless, they are good spiritual advice for anyone. The word seek occurs 3 times in the first 4 verses. The doctrinal part is plainly Jewish, for behold, he is the Lord our God, verse 7. The admonitions were not to the spiritual seed of Abraham, as Spurgeon tries desperately to prove a number of times, but they go to Isaac, verse 9, and then to Jacob, verse 10, and then to the 12 tribes of Israel, verse 10. They don't have to do with getting to heaven or getting into Christ. They have to do with getting the land of Canaan, the lot of your inheritance, verse 11. Verse 8 says, the word which he commanded to 1,000 generations. The covenant of verse 8 is not the elect covenant that Spurgeon talks about. Further, it has nothing to do with New Testament salvation. This covenant is the one God gave to Abraham 3 times in Genesis chapter 14, 15, and 22. It's a land grant with a clear title deed. Bullinger insists the Israel of verse 10 is the spiritual seed, but it's not. It's true that only saved Israelites will finally wind up possessing the land, but Israel possessed the land in Solomon's day when none of them were spiritual seed, so-called. Jacob gets this land promise in Genesis chapter 28 verse 13, and Isaac gets it again in Genesis chapter 26 verse 3. The everlasting covenant, verse 10, is the land of Canaan, when they were but a few men in number, verse 12, holds the true even to Jacob's day, see Genesis chapter 34 verse 30. The Hebrews were the least of all people in the days of Abraham and Isaac, see Deuteronomy chapter 26 verse 5, because Abraham had no children for 100 years and then he only had one with Sarah. He had 8 total. Isaac and Rebekah were barren for 20 years, and in the remaining years of their lives they had only 2 children. The Hebrews from Eber, 1 Chronicle chapter 1 verses 25 to 27, were not a great people until they came out of Egypt. God protected Abraham in his dealings with Pharaoh, Genesis chapter 12 verse 17, and Abimelech, Genesis chapter 20 verses 3 to 6, and in his military excursions, see Genesis chapter 14 verses 15 to 16. God protected Isaac in dealing with Abimelech, Genesis chapter 26 verse 11, both about his wife and about the wells, Genesis chapter 26 verses 13 to 22. He suffered no man to do them wrong. Verse 14. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob are all called prophets. Verse 15. Touch not is a clear warning that there are some things you had better keep your hands off. One is an other man's wife, Proverbs chapter 6 verse 29. Christ said, let them alone, Matthew chapter 15 verse 14, in regards to the outstanding Orthodox religious leaders of his day. There are some other things that you had better not mess with. First, God's glory. Second, the temple of the Holy Ghost. Third, the poor and needy. Fourth, orphans and widows. Fifth, the Jews. Sixth, the Holy Bible. Keep your dirty, unbelieving hands off that book. If you don't believe it, leave it alone. If you are in heresy or total darkness with your own theology or only your own opinions, and you don't believe that book, it's pure word and sound doctrine, better leave it alone. And if God lets you be alone, it can be even worse than you think. The world, the flesh, the devil, your own opinions, they will destroy you. So again, let God be true, but every man a liar. Amen.